Some people believe danger lives far away from routine, hiding in abandoned buildings or lonely roads. But the truth is far more unsettling. Sometimes it clocks in at the same time you do, sits 2 desks away, knows your coffee order, and smiles while learning your habits. Tonight's stories are not about monsters in the dark. They are about coworkers. Ordinary places, shared spaces. The quiet terror of realizing that the place you rely on for stability might be watching you back. These are very creepy, true coworker horror stories. Stories that leave scars but also leave wisdom, because fear alone is empty unless it teaches us how to survive, how to protect our souls, and how to rise stronger than what tried to break us. The first story begins in a glass office building that never fully slept. The kind of place where the lights stay on late and the hum of computers replaces silence. Alina worked there for 3 years, mostly night shifts, mostly the same faces. There was comfort in the repetition. Marcus sat near the printer. Always polite, always dependable, always the one who volunteered to help. He remembered everyone's routines without ever writing them down. When someone stayed late, he noticed. When someone left early, he noticed that too. People trusted him because he seemed harmless, because evil rarely announces itself. At first, the strange moments were small. A file moved on Alina's computer when she hadn't touched it. A comment Marcus made about her schedule that she never shared. A joke about how quiet the office felt when certain people weren't around. Each moment alone meant nothing. Together they felt like eyes in the dark. Alina ignored the feeling because she didn't want to be difficult. She didn't want to accuse, she didn't want to believe that something was wrong. Then one night, she found her locker unlocked. Inside was a copy of her employee badge and personal details printed neatly, as if prepared in advance. Her hands shook, her heart raced. She realized the fear wasn't new, it had been whispering to her for weeks. She finally spoke up. Security reviewed footage, logs were checked. The smiling coworker who everyone trusted had been accessing private employee data, tracking schedules, watching patterns, preparing something no one could fully explain. He was arrested before anyone else disappeared. Later, Alina said the most horrifying part wasn't what he did, but how easy it was for him to do it, because everyone assumed trust instead of earning it. From that story comes the first lesson, deep and unavoidable. Trust should be earned, not assumed. Familiar faces can still hide darkness. Politeness is not proof of goodness. Your intuition exists for a reason. When your spirit tightens, when something feels off, that is not weakness, it is awareness. Learning to trust slowly is not fear. It is wisdom that protects your future. The second story comes from a factory floor. Loud machines drowning out conversations and accountability. A man named Reza noticed his coworker sabotaging equipment during overnight shifts. Boards loosened, settings changed, minor things that could become deadly. Reza told himself it wasn't his business. He needed the job. He didn't want trouble. Weeks passed. Then one night, a machine failed violently. A worker lost his life. Investigators later discovered the sabotage had been ongoing, hidden behind silence and fear. Reza carried that guilt for years, realizing too late that silence doesn't stay neutral. It chooses a side. The lesson is brutal, but necessary. Silence protects the wrong people. Speaking up is terrifying, but staying quiet can cost lives, including your own peace. Another story unfolded inside a warehouse where authority became a weapon. A supervisor named Helen controlled schedules, isolated workers she disliked, and punished anyone who questioned her. She made people doubt themselves, fear their jobs, and feel small. One employee, Maya, began documenting everything quietly: emails, messages, schedule changes. It took months of fear and sleepless nights before she reported it. When the investigation came, dozens of workers came forward. What felt like personal terror turned out to be collective abuse. Helen was removed. The environment changed. From this comes a lesson carved from pain. Power without accountability becomes cruelty, but courage can dismantle it. One voice can give others permission to speak. In a hospital where lives depended on vigilance, a nurse named Sarah felt uneasy around a coworker who volunteered for every night shift with the most vulnerable patients. There was nothing obvious, no proof. Just a heaviness she couldn't explain. She preyed on it. She watched carefully. She reported small inconsistencies others ignored. Eventually, investigators uncovered patterns of negligence and intentional harm masked as care. Patients were saved because someone trusted intuition over politeness. The lesson is quiet but powerful. Intuition is a gift, not paranoia. It is the language of survival, speaking softly before disaster screams. Two co-workers in a tech office felt watched by a third who never spoke but always listened. Each thought they were imagining it. Fear grew in isolation. When they finally talked, patterns aligned, files accessed, messages read, movements tracked. Together, they reported it. Alone, they doubted themselves. Together, they were believed. The lesson rises from the fear. Fear shrinks when shared. Darkness thrives in isolation. Truth grows in connection. There was an accountant who never raised his voice, never missed a deadline, never drew attention. He also stole identities, drained savings, and destroyed lives using information taken quietly from desks and servers. When he was caught, coworkers said the same thing. He was so calm. That calm hid a storm. The lesson cuts deep. Not all monsters are loud. Some whisper, some smile, some blend in so well you forget to look closely. In a cold storage facility, a young man was locked inside as a cruel prank that turned deadly serious. The coworker responsible laughed until panic set in. Alone in the dark, breath fogging the air, the man prayed. He stayed calm. He remembered an emergency exit he had seen during training. He survived because fear did not paralyze him. Courage did not erase terror, but it guided him through it. The lesson is simple and eternal. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move anyway. The final story is not about one person, but many. Survivors of workplace terror often say the same thing. They were changed, they lost innocence, they gained strength. Trauma marked them, but it did not own them. From broken trust came sharper wisdom, from fear came resilience. The lesson is heavy but hopeful. Darkness reveals inner strength we never knew we had. If these stories disturb you, they should. But let them also awaken you. Pay attention, protect your boundaries. Trust your instincts, speak when silence feels safer but wrong. You are not weak for being cautious, you are not cruel for being aware. And if fear ever finds you at work, in routine, in familiarity, remember that courage can still rise, that truth still has power, and that faith still watches even when no one else does. May God guard your steps as you enter and leave your workplace. May He sharpen your discernment, quiet your fear, strengthen your voice, and cover you with protection, seen and unseen. May He remind you that even among co-workers, even in ordinary places, light can stand firm against the darkest intentions, and that you were never meant to survive alone.